Welcome. In front of me is a OPPO Find X8 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device itself. So, jumping straight into it, let's just pop it open. We do have one seal to cut our way through. There we go. And that gets us to the device. Nice packaging. So we have our cable, paperwork, and interestingly enough, we also have this little dongle right here for converting from Type C to Type A, as you can see right here. So I'm just gonna drop that back in here. So whip out the device. Clearly, we can already see there is no charger provided in the box. But at this point, that's kind of standard for a lot of manufacturer to skimp out on that. Okay. So right off the bat, I want to point out the quality. The device feels nice to hold in a hand. It has nice rounded edges right here. You can see it right here. So the display is a little bit rounded. We have the frame that is also rounded, along with the back glass being also rounded, so it adds to this kind of this nice feel when you're holding it. And also it has a pretty good screen to body ratio. So actually, let's talk about the display right here. So this is a 6.78 inch display with a resolution of 1264 by 2780 pixels. LTPO AMOLED display, 1 billion colors, 120 Hz refresh rate, Dolby Vision support, HDR10 Plus support, and a peak brightness of whopping 4500 nits. That's the peak. It also boasts 89.8% screen to body ratio and a pixel density 450 pixels per inch. And all that glass or display goodness is covered with Corning Gorilla Glass 7i. And it has some Ultra HDR image support, whatever that is. It's just some, I presume, OPPO gimmicky upscaling or whatever it is, but I'm just guessing. So that's the display. Now if we flip it over to the back, we have our Hasselblad branded camera. In this really nice kind of back design. It has this almost marble kind of glass look. It's need to lower the exposure on camera. Oh, that's not the way. See, you can kind of see the reflections of a bit of like weird strings right here. It's hard to pick up on the camera. It's very subtle in person too, so it's not something that you will be seeing quite easily. At least not on camera. At certain angles it does pop out a bit more, but a bit of a further distance, just holding it in whatever angle, it just doesn't look like much, but it has this kind of, I would say, nice look to it. But in any case, let's go back to the cameras. So the camera right here, array is starting off with the main sensor being 50 megapixel f1.6 aperture, 23mm wide lens. Then we got another 50 2.6 aperture, 73mm periscope telephoto, which is this one right over here. So this one I think is the wide one, this one is the periscope. And then we got another 50 megapixel f 4.3 135mm periscope telephoto. Another one. Huh? Yeah, I'm a bit confused. So I assume this might be actually the wide one, and both of them are the periscope apparently, which, you know what, whatever. Anyway, the last one is another 50 megapixel, right? Yep, 50 megapixel f2.0, 15mm 120 degree ultra wide lens. Now when it comes down to the capabilities of these cameras, you can record videos at 4K up to 60 frames, 1080p also up to 60 frames, no mention of slow motion. Right? Oh no, sorry, confused it with the other one. 60 4K, 1080p 60, 240 slow motion. And the selfie camera is at 32 megapixel, f2.4 aperture, 21mm wide lens, and that can do also 4K up to 60 and 1080p up to 60 with no slow motion. So that's kind of what I got it confused with. So camera wise, obviously this device is packing like 50 megapixels almost all around. Even the selfie cam is 32 megapixels, so that's also pretty good. So yeah, it looks like I'm looking at this device for the first time, and it seems like this is just catering straight for like photo taking primarily. These cameras are pretty decent setup, and I guess they also wanted to do the Hasselblad branding just so it stands out even more. Now, let's move over to the internals, because that's also where the device isn't shying away from just giving you pretty decent specs. So we have a whopping 5910 milliampere battery, a pretty decent battery size in here. That can be charged with a cable and a charger, obviously supported charger, at 80 watts. So that's pretty fast charging speed, but it also supports whopping 50 watts of wireless charging. That is also pretty insane. Then we got either 12 or 16 gigabytes of built-in RAM with 250, 6 gigabytes, 512, or 1 terabyte of storage, all of them being UFS 4.0 storage type. But there is no expandable storage type or storage itself, unfortunately. So that's it. And last thing is the processor powering it is the Dimensity 9400, which is a very powerful processor, basically flagship when it comes down to what is it, MediaTek, I think it is, Dimensity. So yeah, it's going to be equivalent to what Snapdragon like 8 Gen whatever they have right now is equivalent to, or very close to it. So that's basically all the specs. Now, taking a look at all around and the features, we have our power button on the right side along with the volume rockers. Then at the top we got an IR blaster, interestingly enough. We have microphones, and then on the left side we got our silent switch. So you can see if it's going to show up. Yep, it does show up right here. So we have ring, vibrate, and silent. So it's a triple one. And at the bottom we have our speaker, charging port, and our SIM tray. And that's about everything that there is to the device. It's a pretty, honestly, nice device. One thing that I also want to point out, because the camera is placed symmetrically, when you place it down, there is very little wobble, unless you like really press it, then you can see it just kind of move. But because it's also circular, it just does it like subtly, kind of. It's not like aggressive like some, for instance, like this, where this is disgusting. This, I can easily use the device and it doesn't really wobble on the table, which to me is a very nice feature. It might be overlooked and some people might not really care about this. I personally do. So yeah, there we go. Now, one last thing to mention will be the price tag. So this device isn't cheap. It comes at 1,100 pounds apparently. Let's see how much that equates to, something like US dollars. So that is, holy crap, that is $1,400. That also includes tax, but my goodness, is that device expensive. So it's a nice phone, I'm not gonna lie, but is it $1,400 nice? I doubt it. And I understand inflation and all that bullshit, but come on, $1,400 is a little bit of a steep ask here. When you can pick up some other devices that just offer a bit more like flair to it. For instance, for that price, you can pick up even a Fold from Samsung. Do I recommend the Fold? Probably not, but I just kind of want to point out that folds. It also has a okay camera setup, but it has the benefit of just opening up to a much bigger display, and honestly, at nearly 50% less price, you can get even like the Galaxy Ultra at this point, considering they're about to release the new ones. So you'd be getting something like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, I think, or 3, whichever one it is right now. And also will have a pretty good camera setup and will be cheaper. So yeah, I feel like this device is okay. I mean, it's good. It's just $1,400 is just a steep ask for a OPPO device, I would say. No matter how premium it is, I think they're asking too much. So anyway, with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.